What's good, family? This is Midas Print. Thank you for tuning in. This is where you hear people tell their story in the most authentic way possible, giving you experience. And remember, we are Midas Print. So his experience that he's telling you is your experience as well. You can always take something from it. And remember, we have three things in common: time, effort, and energy. And today, our guest is Jacorey Thomas. What's up, man? You good?
Yes, sir. I'm
You
good,
good? You
man. It's
good?
all good.
All right, man. So I remember my last time talking to you, we were at Shoot Your Shot. Was it? I think it was Chris Allen's event, right?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that I was asking you about was photography, not just photography in itself, but on the technical side. Because I feel like in anything that's creative, the technicality of creativity also takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. Um, and when I was asking you certain questions, you like knew exactly what to talk about. It was like you were an expert. And I want you to definitely tell your story about the contributing factors of actually getting into photographic space, photography space. So like tell us your story um and just be very authentic with it. Just tell us exactly how you came about to photography. Cause I know that's not something that everybody just gets into right away, right? I know it's like it's a tough industry in itself, but you took the steps to like at least get to a point where you feel comfortable telling somebody about like how to use a camera, right? So go ahead and tell your story, man.
So it all started when I was just casually just using my phone, taking
Mhm.
pictures, and I know it was one summer I went to Miami with my sister
Yeah.
and her friends, and I discovered my phone had I discovered like a blurry
Hmm.
the background thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, like I see the picture, I like wow, like it looks amazing,
Yeah.
And then since then, like I would take pictures, just take pictures casually with my phone,
Hmm.
and then I think a year later, no, it was a couple of months after that. That's when I got into cars.
Hmm.
Started getting it's like someone invited me out to like the car meets and the car scene and stuff,
Yeah.
and so I take pictures of the cars, and yeah, I take picture of the cars, and with my phone, and then I had
Hmm.
some friends that were talk photographers at the time,
Yeah.
so I kind of learned from that,
Hmm.
and I think at one point he was saying he was selling his camera, and so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity, to pick up a camera instead of just take pictures on the phone.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when I took pictures on my phone, people say like, the photos are really good,
Hmm.
and stuff like that, and so I just like I need to get a camera,
Yeah.
set my game up, and
Yeah.
and yeah, from there on, I just learned. I didn't have this camera. It was the
Hmm.
A6000, which is kind of more of like a. It's a good camera. It's like
Yeah.
more of a basic camera. Like if you're getting into photography,
Hmm.
that'd be a great camera to use. Like if you're starting photography,
So what was it again? The basic one
the
for
Sony
photography?
A6000.
Sony A6000.
Yeah, and then
That's
yeah, I
funny. These
brought that.
gadgets.
I got that from him, and then
Uh-huh.
he had like a prime lens. It was a 50 millimeter lens. I was
Yeah.
using that primarily, and and he also had like some other ones, kind of like a
Hmm.
little smaller one, but
Yeah.
I didn't really use those. I mainly used the 50 one because it brought out like the a more portrait type
Hmm.
shot,
Yeah.
like has that like quality.
Hmm.
And then at that point, I was taking pictures, act like at first act like I knew I was doing like, oh yeah, I know this and that and stuff. And he also gave me some pointers
Uh-huh.
saying like, make sure you shoot like when you edit your like make sure you shoot darker,
Hmm.
so when you edit, you can like brighten it up more and it'll be nice and crispy, you
Yeah.
know. And then I was doing that, shooting dark, and then then when it came to like different like if it's like at night or something,
Uh-huh.
that will like really mess me up a little bit because I'm not used to that. I'm used to shooting during the day,
Yeah.
and I was doing that. Then I started like it was in September of 2019.
Mhm.
Then I was doing that for a while. Then when I got to around Thanksgiving, I was like, man, I don't think this is for me, man. Like I wasn't feeling it because I kind of lost motivation at the time.
Yeah.
Then that next year, 2020,
Mhm.
um, I got into my brother got into an accident in my car,
Mhm.
and so I didn't have time to and my car was in the shop for like 2 months.
Yeah.
So during that time, I had a lot of downtime instead
Mhm.
of doing stuff in my car, like going to meets and stuff.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I had I'm sorry,
You good.
um, use that time to actually like learn more about the camera,
Mhm.
like this like the basic settings on it, and like and what to set it on and stuff like that, like how to shoot it,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So like yeah, I went to like learn from other photographers and also
Yeah.
learned on YouTube as
Mm.
well. And so during that time I was learning. Then when I got my car back, I started shooting my car, and then I was blown away about how the pictures came out
Yeah.
at the time. And then another thing I had to work on was my editing, and how I learned to get that down. There's this guy I followed at on my car Instagram page.
Uh-huh.
He's a photographer as well, and he has a really nice car. And at one point, he put on his YouTube how to properly edit photos.
Mhm.
Like it's like a full video. Like it shows you how like step by step, how to edit.
Yeah.
And then I also learned from that as well. Like when we talked about like how you asked me like how to pop out make the colors pop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got that from him. Like there's this one setting you can like press each color, and then like you can like expel I don't know what's the word, but like make it brighter, or you
Mhm.
can like saturate it down, or like change the
Uh,
hue on it.
like the contrast, I think?
No, no, just like making the color brighter,
Okay.
and like and adjust the hue and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of learned that from him as
Mhm.
well. And so then for a while, I got down to car photography. People was booking me for shoots and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And then, you know, um, I have work, and so that kind of got in the way a little bit. But I'm still going. And then now, at this point,
Mhm.
I'm trying to focus on more and take pictures of people more
Yeah.
and get that down. So like, people like want to book me for like events or weddings and stuff like that. I'll have that down as well, along with automotive photography.
Okay. So I definitely like see a lot of like cars. And so now I'm wondering like did you have to spend any money for all of these things? Like all I'm hearing for right now is like time, energy, and effort that was spent on like getting the skill or being around the right people or just finding yourself in situations where you have to like learn because all you had was time when you crashed your car. So my thing is, how did the niche of cars come about? How did
So
you even get into that with the photography and cars? Is it because of the networking?
So like so I got in the Charger
Hmm.
in 2018. I was originally gonna get a Challenger,
Yeah,
but then I saw the Charger at this dealership. I was like, oh, I gotta have that. And then because it like it right now it has a black wheels on it, but it had
yeah.
like these hypnotic wheels. It was like red and chrome, and it matched the car. So I was like, I gotta get
So
that.
what color is your car?
It's a
Or
toured red.
tour red? Man, that color red. That color red, man. But so did you decide on the color of the car itself?
No, it
Oh,
was
you
a
just
used
bought
car.
it that
Yeah, I
way?
just bought it that way. It was a used
Okay.
car.
Would you say that the color of the car actually helped you as far as like posting pictures on Instagram? Because for me, I like to think of like the color red. Well, I have a theory for red cars. It's called the red car theory, which like you never see red cars too much on the highways, and I always thought because like the police will pull them over because they'll think they driving fast. But everybody in Houston drives fast.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, you'll spot a red car before you spot any other car. And unfortunately, there is no such thing as a red car theory. It's just it's kind of localized because I thought about it and we talked about it. And I feel like somebody who's actually using their environment to their advantage and using it as a resource, like with you, for instance, you have a red car, you know exactly what type of red it is. But like to post that red car and have people like, you know, just people that want to use it as a prop, right? And you taking pictures of them, and you just have a whole portfolio of your just the red car. That would be nice, like because it shows that you have an eye and that you're able to use your own resource to your advantage, which you did, right?
Yes, sir.
And I like to say when structuring your photos and when you consider angles, what is something that you use to actually have a successful shot? Like, what are the methods behind all of it?
So, so with that, it's like you gotta well, like first things first, like
Hmm.
when you're with your camera, you
Yeah.
gotta make sure you have it on the setting called RAW.
Hmm.
For starters, you gotta make sure you have it on RAW so the picture just come out, clear.
Yeah.
And then there's three things called the f-stop, the ISO, and the shutter speed. You
Hmm.
gotta you gotta make sure. So say if you're shooting like roller shot,
Yeah.
you gotta make sure it's like as low as possible, but not too low.
Yeah.
So have you seen pictures like if it's a rolling shot, it's kind of blurry in the background.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
wheels moving. That's
Yeah.
because they have it lower.
Okay.
But if they have it higher, it's gonna look like a still shot.
Yeah.
So like it has that effect to it.
Okay.
And then like with the ISO, you
Hmm.
gotta make sure that's like as low as possible as well. Because some people's pictures might come out grainy.
Hmm.
That's because they have it up too high. They gotta
Yeah.
have it like the lowest possible. Like I usually have mine on 50 when I'm shooting cars, but I'm
Hmm.
shooting people might have it up at like 100 or something.
Yeah.
Like in case depending on the exposure in
Hmm.
the room or if I'm outside or something.
Okay. Okay, it makes sense. And the angles. So I know every photographer probably has like a favorite angle. Just like any basketball player has a favorite angle on the court to make the ball, shoot your shot type of thing. Um, what is your favorite angle for the cars when taking pictures of them? Is it the front of the car, the side, or like up above at angle? Like how you the the backlight up above it. I don't know if you use drones yet.
No, not
I
yet.
feel like you are gonna get to that for some reason because you're dealing with cars.
Eventually,
Yeah, and yeah. So what is your favorite angle?
might as well have to be like. There's this one guy that told me
Hmm.
he owns a Hellcat. He told me to always shoot like shoot from the ground up, kind of not too low, but like make sure you get a low angle.
Okay.
And I learned, that's like the angle right there. Like you gotta for most automotive photographers out there, like you gotta make sure
Hmm.
you gotta like shoot from a lower angle, but not too low. And then and if you want to shoot up from high, you can shoot from high if you want to, but
Hmm.
like I guess make sure you like focus on just that subject.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, it would have to be probably from a higher angle.
Yeah.
Sometimes there be some pictures I post, I be getting on top of buildings and shooting a picture from the car down.
Yeah.
So and then sometimes I can zoom in. So probably like a higher angle. I know most
Okay.
people say it's best to shoot at a lower angle
Hmm.
car wise, but I like shooting from a higher angle. Like you get like all the cars and then maybe like the backdrop if you're shooting like in downtown or like
Yeah.
somewhere like abandoned type thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, probably yeah, higher angle for me.
Okay. With you being a photographer and being a creator, in that perspective, do you consider the psychology of colors? Like what type of emotions that each color evokes? Also like because you have a brand, right? But you're also a photographer. How those two go together when you consider the psychology of colors? So like for instance, your Coco Visuals, right? But your brand is black and white, but you deal with colors all the time. Um, Whenever you're trying to like get a certain client to feel a certain way about what you post, I feel like you have an advantage because you're a photographer, you have a brand, but you being the master of using colors to invoke certain emotions on somebody um actually helps you gain clients. So that's why I'm like, do you consider the psychology of colors?
So with that, it depends. Like I had this one client one time. He
Hmm.
drives like a blue Mustang, and we was just like I didn't like it wasn't like
Yeah.
a legit photo shoot. It was just like I was shooting this guy with the Hellcat, and then he brought his friend along, and he wanted to see like how I how I shoot and stuff, like how I
Yeah.
do it, and I edited the color of his car is like a darker blue,
Mhm.
and bro, he messaged me like after I sent him the pictures, and he was like, bro, I never seen nobody shoot my like edit my car like this. It's like the
Yeah.
perfect blue. So I guess he knew like how I did it,
I
what I
think
was
I remember
doing.
you showing me that. Like you showed me the actual car color, and then you showed me once you fixed it, the
Yeah,
color changed, right? And I thought that was really cool because like it's kind of like modeling, right? Um, you when you see the model in the magazine versus before you saw the model, it was a different hue. The skin tone didn't pop out much. Um, they didn't look as appealing. But because you have that ability to do that, that actually helps you keeps clients coming in, or it helps that word of mouth, and then you're on Instagram with it too. So being able to like have that eye for a thing, did you have to train yourself to get to a point of actually having the eye to actually mess with colors and understanding that they actually have a certain emotional appeal to somebody?
absolutely. Like most people had to most probably had to go to college,
Hmm.
photography. But me, I was self taught.
Yeah.
I kind of taught myself because I learned from like YouTube and other
Uh,
photographers. Kind of gathered that up, and obviously it's going to take time. You ain't gonna get
yeah.
it right away, and it's not for everybody. But yeah, me, I just yeah, I was taught myself, and just kept getting growing and getting better at it.
Okay. And um, so how much time did you put in? 'Cause I know for every skill, um, there is that 10,000 hours you put in, and obviously, like you didn't stay whatever hours you put in. You didn't stay with just cars. 'Cause I heard you trying to get in with people. So how do you go about putting those together? 'Cause I remember I seen you put a post out on Coco Visuals. You had models. I think one in front of the red car, which I think wasn't yours, or was it yours?
That was mine.
Okay. And did they have to rent it out to use it as a prop or no?
So I think with that shoot, that
Uh-huh.
was like I think that was a photographer shoot. Like
Yeah.
multiple photographers got together and we all took pictures of the models with the cars. That's what that
Oh,
was.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, that was a good brand strategy. I ain't gonna lie. It is a red car. So that made a lot of sense too that you did that because it also catches the eye of people. It shows that you have flexibility, that you're not just doing cars, but you're doing both, all and everything. And also, I want to point out like you took a big loss, your car. You didn't have it for 2 months, so really you had to sit in the house. But the thing is, I like to think of wins and losses as ratios, right? Your ratio, you had one big loss, which was your car being in the shop for 2 months, but your wins were small wins. You started, putting time and effort and energy into knowing how to use a lens, knowing the certain vocabulary that is used when you are a photographer, right? In order to speak the language and understand the lingo. Then you were around the right people, people that were networking already. They were already photographers, so they can also put you on. It was kind of like free game, but for me, I don't think there's any free game because you put in time, which is more valuable than money. It's like the most important commodity. Then comes your energy, then comes your effort. And so I look at those things and I'm like, man, you've been winning this whole time. And I want other people to know that you can win anytime. You just have to create your wins. Sometimes your wins are right in front of you. Um, like that they say that the thing that's in front of you is sometimes the thing that you need to do the most because what's in front of you can actually change the whole trajectory of your life. And you just had a camera, right? A little gadget. I don't know if you had to buy it or anything, or somebody just let you borrow it, but it changed the trajectory of where you're at now from where you were back then. When did you start? I think it was like 2019.
Yes, it was 2019.
Okay, so 2019. And it's crazy that when COVID happened, everybody was in the house, and now you like kind of figure out what everybody was doing. And from my understanding, what you did was continue to perfect your craft as a photographer. And for me, that is I mean, a lot of us took big losses during COVID, right? But the way I see it, your small wins took over those big losses that you had. So far, you told me you had, you lost your car for 2 months. Um, then, COVID hit. We don't know how that was for everybody financially. It definitely was, shaking for real.
Absolutely.
And I would say that for anybody, it doesn't take much to like definitely defy yourself and change the trajectory of your life. It's just a matter of small wins you're willing to make, and you were willing to make those small wins, even if they don't look like much, right? Like you coming here and interviewing, no matter like your skill level or whatever it is, you still have something to bring to the table, and I think you're winning for real. And I want other people to know that whatever it is, man, just um, the only way you can tell a story is if you're actually doing what you're doing. That's how I see it. And you're the only person that can tell your story, and I'm glad you came out to tell your story. Now, to me, as a photographer, I mean, to me, as you being a photographer, how important is visual content?
Oh, it's very important. Like you told me, like
Yeah.
you see that I have the eye,
Hmm.
for whatever subject it is.
Yeah.
So it's all it's very important. Like they say, like was it quality over quantity?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like you make sure you have the perfect quality. Like when I edit photos,
Mm,
I make sure I choose like the ones that come out that I like in my opinion. Like the client might like it, but I gotta make
mm,
sure I like it. Like
yeah.
because sometimes I might take multiple pictures, but I make sure I choose the one that come out the correct the right quality of the
Yeah.
picture and yeah the right quality
Mm.
and once I edit, boom.
And I want to say, because I'm glad you said quantity over quantity. How long did it take you to get to that point of like uh quantity at first to quality? Like, long did it take? 'Cause I know you had to train yourself to actually like be able to edit and be able to see like my client might not like this, or my I'm pretty sure you have like a portfolio of quantity, right? And then a lot of quality being put out. But like, how many photos does it take to actually get to quality content?
um it takes a lot, like yeah, like once you first start,
Hmm.
you can take like 50 plus pictures. You can only probably get like 20 good ones maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, like when I first started, a
Uh,
lot of them came out like crap and stuff. But then once I got to that point, like after I got my car at the shop,
yeah.
that's when I can tell myself like that's quality right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do have a lot of quantity, right? Quantity content that hasn't been put out. Would you be willing to like make another Instagram page that actually shows the quantity of your work? Just so like you just never know what people like, right? And
Hmm.
then you just never know who's willing to like say, "Oh, this is art," or people are like willing to use it, right? And also, I think about certain ways to like actually make money in your business, because photography is so it's broad, but also there's ways to make money. Like I know people like to use what's called stock photo or something like that. I think that's what it's called, stock photo, for like your website,
Hmm.
the backdrop of it. And I wonder if like you sell some of your content to them, like people like that. I don't know how you go about doing that though. Like let's say you have like a quantity of pictures, right? And you want to get rid of them, but you want to make money off of them. Do you go to like those type of people that actually sell off stock photos that they put on like backgrounds of websites, use them for pretty much whatever, like in a store? Um, I see them a lot, and they don't have like real names on them, but they're like pictures that
Hmm.
you put up in a store, and they just sit there for like decoration.
It's funny that you say that because like we said about like like there's pictures I like, but they might like. I
Mhm.
had a few photos like that I actually
Yeah.
posted, and I got a lot of like, got a lot of love off of it, and they was like, I love this, and so, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like there's this other photo, there would be another photo I like more
Uh-huh.
than that one, but people like the one that I didn't like, but they did.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow. So, that spoke something to me that like, like you said, people like quantity photos as well, or
Yeah,
some
yeah,
of
yeah,
them, but
yeah.
not all of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one thing I think, like, as an artist, or a creator, like, you have to think in a way of expansion with all your content. Like, oh, I don't like this, but just for this moment. It has to be situational almost. Situational opportunities. That's what I would call it. Situational opportunities for every content that you have. Um, and that's the ideal of it. It's a way to, like, continue to have that volume to the point where you're, like, so freaking good that nobody can resist you. And that's what I want for you. I want you to, like, put so much content out of, like, the bad shit and the good shit, and look at it as a way for you to actually, like, become a master in it, because you just never know, and it'll actually help you get an eye for everybody's eye, right? Instead of just your own. And I feel like that is something that is is detrimental for anybody. Like, for me, my thing is writing. Right. Like, I write a lot of just stories, really, and sometimes it's just like thought dumps. But what if those thought dumps can really become some real content that somebody willing to buy, right? Because it not only just tells a story, but it's authentic, right? It's like, okay, well, they just was really just telling what they was thinking. And when you go off of that rather than trying to structure everything, and cuz a lot of times, I know I do it. I like to compare myself to people that are really good already. But what I don't understand is the people that like my content are the people that are really good already. And what it does is reminding people that are already at the top of where they were at first. And they take a they take pride, or, like, I guess, a reminiscent type of feeling to it, and they love it because it tells a beginning. Because I guess once you are, like, a master of your craft, you kind of forget on what it feels like to be a fuck up, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And so I would say, like, 'cause I'm pretty sure you want to make it big. I'm pretty sure, like, that is your goal, is to make it big, and not have to just be, you know, just a regular guy. You really moved from where you were, right? What was the small town down south of Texas was?
Angleton.
Angleton to Bazaria. That's Bazaria County, right? You
Yeah,
told me. Yeah,
Brazoria
okay.
County.
Bazaria County. And now you're in Pearland. So that actually tells a lot about who you are and where you want to go in life. No matter where you at right now. I mean, who cares? Like, we both, what, 27?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I remember you telling me. I think it was like 27, 26 in the area. Like, who really cares where you at except for the people that see you all the time, right?
Exactly.
And those people that you work with. Like, that's why I be like, at my job, I'm like, these people see me all the time. They don't see me as nothing special because they see me all the time. And they don't care to hear my story. I'm pretty sure everybody works just working,
Yeah,
trying to
just work.
survive.
Yeah, make that money.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, you chose to come here and, like, make a difference in your life and look to build. And now I'm trying to ask you, like, what are you building on right now? And what type of projects do you take on now? Besides, like, taking photos with people and cars, do you actually, like, look into, like, going to business car dealerships and, like, looking to take photos for them, and, like, trying to expand in that area, like, trying to, like, actually go to businesses and businesses?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
just trying to, still trying to, build myself up right now. Like,
yeah,
make sure I got the right equipment for what the right equipment,
uh huh,
and then ex like what you like we mentioned earlier about making a different page. I'm thinking
yeah,
about making a like a portrait type page. Like I have
hmm,
one for my cars and then one for like people and like events and stuff on that page.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about doing that, and then, but yeah, right now I'm just trying to work on like getting the right equipment and then get
Mhm.
myself back out there because I had a little setback at one point, and then now I'm trying to come back again and then grow from there.
All right, so I know you mentioned setbacks, but in those setbacks, what was going through your mind at that time when you had like decided to pull back and just stop what you were doing with photography? What was the thought process?
So like I sometimes go through like a lot of like pretty much a lot of there's like a lot of personal issues I had
Hmm.
to go through. So I was trying to get through that, get over it. And then sometimes I actually use photography sometimes to, you know, kind of as therapy,
Yeah.
when I want to be alone by myself, just, enjoying, photography and the outdoors, stuff like that. So it's kind of sometimes you can use it like as a hobby,
Mm,
sometimes it can be used like as an escape or just do it for fun. And for me, for the most part, for me, I like to do it for fun.
okay. And you also said it's therapeutic. How is photography like taking pictures therapeutic to you? Is it the the feeling of like taking pictures of like trees or taking pictures outside in general?
Yeah,
Like
taking
what?
pictures in general.
Okay, because I know they say a picture has 1,000 words, but also pictures are symbols. Just like our story is a symbol, it's symbolical to what we've been through, who we are. Um, it's the main event of our lives, right? And people get to have a lens for our life when we speak about it. We tell the story behind it, and you being a photographer and um, being able to look behind the lens and getting to know you actually changes people as far as like just seeing you as a photographer, right? Because where I see stories is stories are the main product. Everything else after that is a byproduct because the story actually starts off um as you just going through rough patches in life and then you end up with less, right? That's how my life started off when I came to Houston. I started a family, family failed. I started a business, my business failed. I had two big losses. I couldn't deal with the losses because in deep down inside, I'm a winner, just like you are. And setbacks don't really bother me. I just do what you did. I had a hobby. I started writing. I started journaling a lot, and finally, it was like boom, this is where my brand started. Through the setbacks, I found clarity in what I really wanted to do, my goals, and reaching them, and wanting to start a podcast and wanting to start a brand. So I go to say this that your setbacks are really wins. My setbacks were really wins because those big losses actually bring us on to opportunities that we wouldn't see before. And so now I think uh with your photography after hearing your story and hearing like what you want to do, I also want to ask you about the car brands. Do you think that car brands matter when you take pictures of them? Like I know you take pictures of the Charger. You mentioned your friend has a Hellcat. Um, what else? I know the muscle cars for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the Hellcat SRT, I hear the kids talk about it all the time. Hellcat SRT,
Yeah.
but they can't even own them. So like, is it? Do you pay attention to the um the trendsetters? Like you got your hip hop artists, you have your famous celebrities that might be on commercials for certain cars. I know the Hellcat and SRT, you got certain hip hop artists. I don't want to say no names, but they use these vehicles and kids love them. That's trend. They trendset it already. And I would think that you have done the same thing, but you already had the car before it became a trend. Um, so I would like to know like what type of brand, like car brands, would you go for if you had the chance to like expand right now?
So, like when I first started, like I was
Mhm.
mainly about the Mopars and stuff because it's already owned it, and then most of my friends got Mopars.
What are Mopars?
Oh, Dodge, Jeep. Ram and Chrysler.
Oh shoot. Why you call Mopars?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. When I first got the Charger, I didn't know what
Huh?
Mopar was, but that's what Mopar is. It's like all of that in one.
Oh, so they just condensed it instead of saying
Yeah,
all those cars. Oh, I didn't even know that.
it's called Mopars.
And you learned that from being at the car shows and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like Instagram, mostly Instagram, because
Yeah.
they all kept saying Mopars. I'm like, what are
Hashtag
Mopars?
Mopars.
Yeah, then I had to like look it up, and they're like, oh, okay, it's all of them in that family.
That's crazy. 'Cause I've seen car shows on the sides, but I'm like, man, I don't even like cars too much. But I also think about networking too. And so it wouldn't be a bad idea to go see those people who has those cars. Because sometimes your car should tell you who you are. But in certain communities, of course. And sometimes cars are like seen as a status symbol. And that's something I want to get into as well. Do you have clients that don't have nice cars? I mean, you don't have to tell your name, but like, do they actually have nice cars, or do they use your car for like a status symbol?
That's a good question.
Because I know,
So,
you got to talk about marketing and brand. Because that's something I would do,
yeah.
right? I don't have the nicest car in the world, but I understand branding. I understand marketing, right? I'll use somebody like you, for instance. I'll use your car as like a status symbol. People don't know I own it or not,
Yeah.
right? So I would like to understand that too. Like as far as client base, do they use your car instead of theirs?
So for the
Since
most part,
yeah,
like so car wise, yeah, like most of my clients, like when I was mostly doing primarily doing cars,
uh huh,
yeah, most of them, got like nice cars. Like some of them used to own a Mopar at first.
yeah,
Then I'll go to like a BMW or a Cadillac or whatever the case might be or something.
hmm,
And so like and then people wise like like they have like nicer cars, but I wouldn't be like a muscle car, an exotic car, nothing like that. Just be like a
yeah,
regular like car, like SUV or base model type car,
mm,
But like, so for me, to answer your question from earlier, um, I don't really the car wise. It don't really matter to me what car I shoot. Just it can be like a basic like Toyota or something like, and I'll shoot it,
mm.
or like or something like a Nissan or
Hey
whatever.
man, nobody trying to take pictures with those, man. I think you just have to be a real like certain type of person to do that. To like, because sometimes people want to be like glamorized, right? Because in social media, in that sense, when you post it for that realm. But if somebody's like posting for like family pictures and posting in their room and stuff, like for me, I'm trying to have a visual environment. So I'm not about to. I'm gonna go on Turo, and also I want to ask you about Turo as well. But I'm gonna go in like for Turo. I would go on Turo and get like one of the nice cars, but unfortunately, my dream car ain't gonna be on no Turo. I'm looking at like a blue Bugatti. So that ain't gonna make no sense. And like that I ain't renting no blue Bugatti out because you could barely find them. Like I don't think you can find a Bugatti like in America at that point. But
Yeah.
Photoshop you can always do that. But I also wanted to ask you, like, do you also go to Turo? Like, do you help your clients like find cars on Turo? If they're looking for something that's gonna like fit in with the photo itself. Have you had anybody that's done that? Like
Wait,
wanted you to
what is touring?
Turo?
Yeah.
It's a car rental app. So like Airbnb,
Oh.
it's like Airbnb for cars. That makes sense.
Oh, okay,
Where they
okay.
rent the car out, like even you can rent your car out, and they pay you for it, right?
Oh, that.
Yeah,
Okay, I know
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
talking
Turo.
about. I actually have a friend that like for his birthday
Uh-huh.
one year he rented out a Porsche
Oh,
for
that's
his
crazy.
birthday, and then the next year he rented out it was a BMW. It was those exotic looking BMWs, the X something.
Oh, the i8 or something like
Yeah,
that.
that
Those
yeah
super exotic ones. I was
yeah
like,
he had
man.
that yeah he had rented those. He got it from some place here in Houston, but I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, so those type of exotic ones, you have to go to like an third party or something like that. And get them in that way, like Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
I see Lamborghinis in Houston now. I'm like, what the heck? I've never seen that many Lamborghinis in my life. Like until I moved to Houston, I started seeing cars like that.
Yeah, you see them all the time down here.
And so like would you go up in like the car brands? Like, would you go up to like the McLaren or the Benz or like the i8 BMW, and then like Lamborghinis, of course, and Aston Martins, like those luxury cars? Would you go up in those? Like, find clients that actually are riding those. Like, would you think up to that? Would you try to go up to that level instead of like where you're at right now?
Oh, absolutely. Like I took pictures of some before,
Uh-huh.
at car meets and car shows, but
Yeah.
like you said, actually like
Oh, my
getting
bad.
to know someone that actually owns that, like yeah, absolutely.
So, how would you go about doing that?
I know a lot of people, so I can
For
ask
real?
around. Yeah, I just ask
Man,
around. Like if I want to shoot one, I can like just ask like, hey, can I shoot that car? So yeah.
man. See, that's why I'm like, man, you gotta have a photographer in your contacts. You gotta have a photographer in your contacts. You gotta have that type of network. So I like for me, now that I'm like talking to you, I'm asking you these questions. I'm like, man, that means I can like ask one of your clients, like you can link me on one of your clients, and I can like pay you basically to like market myself in a way that's kind of like having that picture taken of what a BMW i8. I think that's the closest thing to Bugatti is that i8, the model of it, and have you take a picture and I post it up in my room. I could make that BMW seem like it's a Bugatti. Why? Because I have the visual. I know a Bugatti is an exotic vehicle, but also i8 BMW is an exotic vehicle. So automatically in my mind, I have that picture posted that you took for me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have that Bugatti one day, right? And so that's why I'm just like, the sky is the limit for you as a photographer. And I also like wonder if you do go to car dealerships and look towards like taking photos for them, or do you have you even got them someone to reach out to you?
I have people reach out to me all the time. Like, yeah, pages follow me, and then some of them. I did have one opportunity. Like, I had a photographer friend.
Hmm.
He, I forgot which dealer. I think it was like it was either a Porsche or a McLaren dealership. They was doing like a photo shoot or a video there.
Uh huh.
He invited me to go to it, but I think I had to work that day.
Do
So
you didn't skip work?
no, I went to
Ah,
work.
man, you would have called off if you would have knew like ahead of time. 'Cause I
Yeah, see,
know,
because he told me at the last minute, so if I knew ahead
yeah,
of time, I would have been like, yeah, I would have went.
man. See, that's crazy. So, did you tell him about like if there's another event like that coming up, like hit me up ahead of time or something like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like he hits me up all the time. I haven't heard from him in a while, but
Yeah,
he hits me up a lot. Like I'll go pick him up sometimes, and we'll go like to well, we went to one photo shoot. We shot a Supra. Like that's
yeah.
his friend. Like we shot that,
Mhm.
and then we shot him again. We went to this track on the northwest side of Houston. I forgot what the track was called. We was shooting some of the shots over there. Like he was racing,
Okay.
stuff like that.
So I know like photography, you have a brand right now, but are you looking into starting a production company instead
Mm,
of like just sticking with photography? Are you looking like to actually like be the guy to produce the videos, be the guy to take the picture? Well, not just you, but a team, right?
mm-hmm.
Where I do videos, I do photos, and um, it's strictly for cars, the environment of the car, kind of like those commercials where the car's driving and stuff, and you do your own, right?
Mm-mm.
And you got friends that do the cars and stuff, you make them seem like their car is like excellent, right? Just by you wanting to like create content for them, right? And your production company. So it's like it's awesome. It's a win for everybody because you have this company that allows people to have commercials without them having to have um the car dealership make the commercials instead. You actually like an outsource. Um and I feel like that's where you're headed probably. Because you have those clients, you have people reaching out to you. You're gonna eventually like run into people that are like wanting to help you more and more, right? And I feel like that's where you're headed because you didn't stop at 2019. It's 2023. And Um, the more I think the more you think about going bigger and continue to go bigger, you're gonna look at it as like not it's not gonna be about the money. I don't even think it's about the money. I don't think it ever has been, but we've been trained to think it's all about the money. But the truest commodity of them all is you having a goal and you making that wish and then taking the time, effort, and energy to do it. That's what Midas print is all about. It's just you having that and you have it. We all have it. And that's what makes us all unique. And that's why the next question is like, what are your goals? And I'm talking about the ultimate goals. Also, you can tell me about the short term ones, like the 3 to 6 months ones. um I know that your job is like kind of like a liability, even though you have to pay the bills and everything. It's like, how would you start setting goals where it's like, I want to leave this job 3 to 6 months and actually like put have a job that's like sort of in the industry where I want, and then it's gonna pay me to like more, but having to put less time into it, right? I think that is gonna be great, and I want to know what is your ultimate goal, and then what are the goals that actually gonna like be wins, the small win goals that are actually gonna like create surges to the ultimate goal. Let's start with the ultimate goal first. I want to know that. I want to know the big stuff.
So eventually, yeah, like I want to eventually, like, have my own business, photography
Hmm.
wise, and just doing what I love.
Hmm.
And yeah, because I'm at the post office right now, and
Yeah.
delivering mail. It's an easy job,
Yeah.
like it's not for everybody, but it's an easy job. But yeah, eventually I want to leave that and go full time doing photography instead of just doing it on the side.
Okay.
And and then what you said about the small goals, you said.
Yeah, like 3 to 6 months goals. How would you go about what are those goals? Like, I understand you said the job. So let's say your goal is to find a job that allows you to use photography and master it, right? And it allows you more time. So like no more 9 to 5. It's more like based on the quality you put out, right? The more quality output. Cause I understand 9 to 5 jobs, man, because I'm a teacher. But when I started in Houston, I was delivering for Amazon, so I can relate to you. It was basically a 9 to 5, but sometimes it was 9 to 7, 9 to 8. And I'm like, bruh, this is gruesome, especially on holidays.
Yeah, peak season. Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's
I'm
crazy.
like, I'm not a big advocate, and most of the people our age are not a big advocate for those 9 to 5s. It ain't working no more because the way the world is, it's changing. It's becoming a creator's economy. So, and that's why you're into photography, because you understand whether it's consciously or subconsciously that we're in a creator's market, because that's all we see is people creating content and putting out content and eventually making money because they have a service, like you have a service, and now you just have to extend your service in exchange for money, right? And that's why I'm like, what are your next 3 to 6 month goals? I'm pretty sure it's about money. And there ain't
Yeah,
no wrong with that
exactly.
because you
Yeah,
have to make money, trade time for money, right? So you have to do that. I know
yeah,
that's like mandatory right now. I know it's for me for sure.
yeah. For me, yeah, yeah. That's the biggest thing right for me right now, especially with all the gas prices going up, and
Hmm.
I'm driving that car to and from work 45 minutes, and it's a V8, so it's draining a lot of gas. Yeah,
I remember VA. I had a Ford Expedition, man. It was a hand me down, but man, it was a VA engine.
yeah,
Phew, I know it was crazy. I know things like gas guzzlers for real. And I know. So, what would be your goal? Like, would you become a freelancer in the next 3 to 6 months?
mm, probably. Wait, what is a freelancer?
Oh, you don't know what a freelancer is?
I
So,
heard of it. I forgot what it
so you
was.
have freelancers, basically people who take. So you're a photographer. A freelance photographer is somebody who takes on gigs, right?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that okay, yeah, I do that sometimes if like someone needs me for something, like I'll do that, like if they hit me up. Yeah, probably so. Cause like my sister told me she had some clients that was interested in my work.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, probably so. Like on the side for right now until get myself financially situated, and then just go
Okay.
from there and keep building up till I get to that ultimate goal.
So like the next 3 to 6 months, you are focused on full time freelance, right? I think that is what you that's where you're at. And I know you shouldn't have a price tag to your ultimate goal, but what would be your price tag? Like what would be like, okay, yeah, $1 million I could live with, or like 10 million, or whatever price you wanted at, you can live with. Like, what are your goals as far as like wanting to travel, wanting to go to different places? Because you could do photography because you always got a camera, right? You can always make money. That's crazy. Like all you need is a cell phone, a camera, and literally that's it. Just a new scenery, right?
Yeah, just different
Yeah.
locations.
So, what is your ultimate goal for sure? Like that. That's it.
Yeah, like
Just being financially free.
yeah, getting myself stable because we're both young,
Yeah.
and like we're in our 20s, so like we still had time to get ourselves together, and then once we get older, we gotta make sure we're stable,
Mm-hmm.
and then once if I end up meeting that special someone one day, get married, have kids, I want to make sure I'm already stable, and then
Yeah.
have a good job and everything. So
Man, you're not gonna have a job. You're gonna be an entrepreneur. There ain't no job to be an entrepreneur. That's your passion. That's just, it's gonna become you. It's like kind of like everywhere you go, opportunities seem to follow you. That's what it's gonna be like, man. It's like everywhere you go, money's gonna seem to follow you because you have Midas print. Like you have everything that is needed for money to follow you. Money follows time, energy, and effort all day. I don't care what people say. Some people believe what they want to believe, but that's what I believe. Because, for instance, your job is paying you for your time, right? By the hour, right?
yes, sir.
And then you put a lot of energy in it and then effort on top of that. Even though you say it's an easy job, I don't think it's easy at all. Like when I was working for Amazon, not easy at all. Like especially when it get too hot, man, kind of want to
That might
reconsider.
that may be the hardest part of the job is the
The
it's pretty
heat,
much the weather. Yeah, if
yeah.
it's like too hot or too cold, just
Hmm.
working in that environment. But like the job itself is easy, but just sometimes conditions it can be a little difficult, especially when it rains too, man. Yeah, the rain can be
Oh yeah, when it
yeah.
rains, man, it's like,
But like, you just deliver packages, but when you're doing a mail, you
yeah.
worry about the mail getting wet and stuff. So it's
Oh, okay, yeah, that
yeah.
is different. That is different. And then, so is there anything you want to ask me,
So what inspired you to do the podcast stuff in the first place?
man? So that's a tough question. Well, it is tough, but I'm trying to answer it thoroughly. So I always like public speaking, right? My first time I got in public speaking was in college, and I was really good at public speaking, like writing up scripts. Um, but I also wrote a public speaking on writing your first book. I think everybody should write their first book. I don't know why. I feel like everybody's life story is important. It's just they haven't told it to a mass of people in order for it to be that. And podcast wasn't a thing at that time, but it always stuck with me because I got a B instead of an A. So it drove me crazy because I was on my freshman year of college. I was on honor roll, and I was always shy to talk to people. But when I did talk to people and was able to open up to them, it felt like I created a dialogue unconsciously, asking the right amount of questions. And but for some reason, it's funny because I was always nervous around girls. But when I just like talk to them like they were just like a regular person, and without even being aware that I'm like they're actually liking me because of the conversation, that's when I knew, like, if I can just be somebody who is willing to give more than I receive, like a good conversation, a good dialogue, um, a good story, right? Then people will gravitate towards me rather than just seeing me for money. Because that was my biggest insecurity, was not having enough money. But I was willing to put time, effort, and energy into reading books because that's all I could afford. And I think people with a massive knowledge and wanting to read books should start a podcast. Um, I did start a podcast with Anchor at the time before Spotify got a hold of it. Goodness gracious. None against Spotify, but I used to do it on my phone, and it was just motivational because I was reading so many books, and I was like, man, I want to get it out of my head because I've always been an overthinker, and I wanted to get um the inspiration out to other people, and I did that for a little bit, but I had a lot going on. I had a family, I had a son to raise, but he's 5 now, so it makes it easy for me to continue on my goal, on my dream. My ultimate goal is for my podcast and just for people to know me is to have 9 billion people to know me, even though that's not a thing, right? It's just the imagination that's attached to it and the story that I have that explains that. Is because who doesn't want to start a movement? Who doesn't want to give people an inspiration to hold on to, right? Like this story you're telling. Like anybody can go to the pawn shop and get a camera. I see them all the time. But the thing that people get stuck on is these YouTubers telling them what to get, rather than just say, hey, get whatever you can and do whatever you can. That's what we need to focus on. And that's why I want all of my listeners to focus on is doing what you can, not what you cannot do and what you can't afford. Because what you can't afford is a raggedy camera to start off with. What you can't afford is an iPhone camera. What you can't afford is your time and energy. Just go to sleep, right? Just go to sleep. Like when you go to sleep, your phone go to sleep, right? They put it on the charger and they're charged up. And the problem is today, and that's why I want to start this podcast, is to get a younger crowd and then my our generation crowd to understand, like, we're in a creators economy. We don't even need to like worry about working jobs too much, but it needs to be a start. It don't need to be an end though. That's where the generation before us, they started and ended at the jobs, sacrificing all their time and energy and effort when it should have been towards what they really wanted to do, rather than making it a burden on the ones they love. Like that's how I got in my household. So I feel like nobody will listen to you unless you're in front of a television, right? Video.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I can't be sitting here wasting my time, energy, and effort talking to somebody who's in their phone the whole time. So that's why I started the podcast, because it was more than me. And a lot of this is bigger than me, because now it's like, in order to spread a message, you got to be in front of a camera. Because a lot of people who see you are in front of a phone that's charged up
Exactly.
and they charged up, but all their energy is going into the phone. So you have to control the narrative. You have to control the amount of eyeballs that see you. And what better way than do this, right? Because the money's not, the money has to be used for something. It's a tool, and I decided to use my money to market myself before I even started a business, because the biggest thing I failed on is not marketing, not networking, not understanding branding and sales, selling yourself. You don't even have to sell a product to sell yourself. Sell the story. And that's what I mean. And I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, that was
That's
what's up,
why
man.
that's why I did it.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So like, so you say you write books? You said?
No, I read them. I want to write a book though, and I think you should too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But we gonna wrap this up. I really appreciate y'all. Remember, it's Midas Print. We all have 3 things: time, effort, and energy. Love y'all. Peace.